Well, I guess just want to get your reaction to media day was yesterday. Obviously, I'm sure you probably weren't thrilled with whether you were picked, but I was just wondering what's kind of the way you guys can handle that to kind of get guys motivated, or
Well, I am obviously it's motivation, but more importantly, I think it's a reflection of the fact of the respect that the program has around the league. We've got to get out of the first round of the playoffs, and we've got to do a better job of making things happen in the course of the season. We kind of fizzled last. We were in contention for some different finishes, but we didn't finish the task. So over time, it's just kind of where we're at right now, and we'll use it as motivation going into the season. But like I said, it's there's some teams doing a really good job in our league right now of sustaining some momentum and finishing at the top and deservedly show they're where they should be in the standings. So it's our job to finish where we can, and we're working hard here in the preseason. Guys get back in shape, and we're going to try to get better every day.
What's different about going into this year with the league as far as having two teams in the national championship game a year ago and stuff? Do you feel like there's just a lot more respect around the country now than maybe there was a year ago at this time?
Well, you feel that on the recruiting road, right? Yeah. You know what I mean? In terms of that's where you kind of feel it. Internally, the coaches have all known that the programs are healthy and are doing a good job. It's that's where it's at. You just look at the fact that I think 5 or 6 teams got first place votes. Yeah. So I think there's that going on where there's a lot, not much difference, and there's a lot of parity in the league. The depth of the league is really, really strong right now, and I think that's where it kind of comes through loud and clear. Just the fact that 5 or 6 teams got votes. Oh, yeah. It's just that probably stood out to me more than anything else. Is that it's a lot of teams that are good, a lot of programs doing a good job, and we got to get ourselves in that talk and in that mix for people what they think. But obviously, preseason stuff is going off of what you've done in the past, and we're looking just to the future.
And the last thing I was going to ask about was I saw the third place game was dropped. I was wondering what you thought about that as a coach.
Well, it's 6 and 1/2 dozen other. I think we did the research on it. We've talked about it extensively, and I don't know. We bent around. I think my impression was that over time it could have hurt our league more than it helped it for NCAA tournament purposes. That's what I think it came from. I can't remember. We talked about it so much, and it's been a long time. But I think that's what it came down to, was the fact that the teams that getting into the tournament, it might have done us more harm of putting a team out of the tournament in the past than it did to get a team into the tournament. Yeah. So I think that's my take. So obviously, as a coaching staff, we want our teams that have done a good job all year on a national front to be able to play in the national tournament. We don't want a secondary game like that where a lot of times your kids are not overly excited, and it's a downer after not making a championship game to be a reflection on whether you move on the next weekend. So that's it just kind of came down to that vote. So we'll see. Right. It's something that possibly could change going forward. Who knows it? But it'll obviously change the championship weekend.
I know you were at least part of it here the first year. First time around here, I think you guys were in that game that year. How tough is it as a coaching staff to get players motivated for that kind of a game? Because you obviously come in wanting to be in the championship game, and did you just kind of sense that wasn't the same kind of game you normally would play during the season when you were getting ready for those?
Yeah, I've coached in a couple. I coached in a couple in CCHA. It's just it's tough, and like I said, it's a couple times I coached in knowing you're playing the following weekend. A couple times I coached in it where it's hit or miss whether you are playing, and a couple times I coached in it where you're not playing at all. So you're in a situation where it's in all those situations, motivation isn't great to do it, and you're at a time like that, it's just it's as a coach I didn't like it. But that being said, a hockey game's a hockey game, and you like that, opportunity when you look back on it in another player's perspective. They'd probably tell you they wouldn't mind another hockey game, right? But going by and large is if you are playing next weekend, you'd hate for that to be a game where there's not a lot on the line for someone to get injured and limit your ability to have them in a lineup the following weekend. So there's pros and cons of both. But I think it's the fact that it didn't show that it was necessary for us, and it actually might have hindered us more than it helped us to get teams into the national tournament, being a reflection on our league. I think that's where the coach was like, okay, let's take a look at it without having it.